Hi everybody, welcome to the Baker Airguns Quick Look. I'm Donnie Reed, and today I'm going to show you some magic. The ATN line of night vision / day vision scopes are a technological wonder of the highest order. Now allow me to explain. Right here I have my FX Impact Compact 25 caliber. Now, this is my main hunting air gun. I have it tuned to throw a JSB 33.9 grain pellet at about 910 feet per second, about 62, 63 foot-pounds. Now that's with the hammer adjuster on maximum. With the hammer adjuster on minimum, I have it tuned to throw the Predator Polymags at about 900 feet per second, and it's a lighter 26 grain pellet, and that produces about 45 foot-pounds. Now I want to be able to use those two different types of ammunition in those two different power settings for different applications. Now wouldn't it be nice to have a scope where all you had to do was press a couple buttons and it would instantly be zeroed for either one of those projectiles at either one of those tunes? Oh, and wouldn't it also be nice if you could use this scope day or night? Oh, and wouldn't it be nice if the scope would automatically range the target and adjust your reticle so that all you have to do is aim point blank and fire? Oh yeah! And wouldn't it also be nice if you could record all of this in high definition video? The ATN 4K Pro line of scopes does all of these things and more. I feel like I'm in one of those infomercials you see late at night, but wait, there's more!
This is amazing!
We're not done yet. You'll also get the mixing bowl set, ice cream trays, an inflatable chair, glow sticks, a shower pen, fridge magnets, an ironing board with shirt rack, an electronic Sudoku puzzle generator, language translator, mouse pad, and a mascot outfit.
Now the exact rig used for this test is what you see here. I again have my FX Impact Compact 25 caliber. I have the ATN 4K Pro 5-20 version of this scope. There's also a 3-14 version that's $100 cheaper. I have the ABL 1000, that's auxiliary ballistic laser, and it's a rangefinder. We'll get more into that. I have the upgraded IR 850 long range illuminator. The scope does come with an illuminator that's perfectly fine, perfectly usable. The reason I upgraded to the long range version is really because it has a rechargeable battery and I can use it on a lower setting and it gives me longer battery life. But the one that ships with it is absolutely functional and it'll work for you. Now I also played around with the ATN X-Track Tactical Remote Access Control is what that stands for. And it's basically just a little remote control for the scope. You can hold it in your hand, you can attach it to the gun, and it gives you most of the features of the controls on the scope. Now the most important thing about this whole rig is that I paid for this. This was not given to me for review. There's no sponsorship between me and FX or me and ATN. I paid for all of these things myself. That is the highest praise that I can give you guys about any product. I've said that in the past and it stands true. I paid for this. I want this. This is what I want. Now, even though I'm very good looking and I have a smooth, buttery voice, nobody wants to have me stand here and talk to you for hours about a product. So I'm forced to write a summation. I have to summarize what this product is. And what I would say this product is a force multiplier. Now that's a term you typically hear about war fighters and their equipment. but it applies in this situation, and I think I can explain why. Now, what I want you to understand is what this scope does for me. What does this scope do that other scopes don't? Now, once you get this, you have to set it up. This is essentially a computer, a camera, and an optical system, all bound together into one. And you have to set this up for your particular rig. Now, this is a high-tech computer-controlled machine. So the more accurately you perform the setup process, the better your results are going to be. And about that, I'm not saying that the setup is terribly difficult, but I am saying that if you're the type of person that has to have your grandchild set up your cell phone for you, or if you don't know how to turn on a computer, this might not be the scope for you.
I just think I want to plug it in first and use it.
But it's still not just another household appliance.
Installation disc number 1. I don't know which the interface cable is. What the hell is a power module? I'm not dumb. Hold on. There's nothing that looks like this. I don't hear it.
Jamie is gridlocked with plenty of company.
And I don't mean to say anything negative about it or you. I'm just saying that it does take a bit of computer literacy to be able to utilize everything this scope has to offer. If that's not you, you might want to look elsewhere. All right, so we've now got our ATN 4K mounted to the gun. We create our profile, and you have to input the drag function you're using, the velocity of the projectile, the weight of the projectile, the distance at which you're zeroed, the height over bore, and like I said, the more accurately you input these things, the better your results are going to be. But we've got that finished, and now we need to zero the gun. Now, ATN calls this a one-shot zero. And essentially, you could do that. I do not recommend it. That's not what I do. I do a few shots at least. But what happens is you put the gun in a rest, you shoot, and the crosshairs, there are 2 sets, are initially exactly in the... However, you take your shot, you leave the reticle pointed at whatever you were aiming at, and move the other one to the hole that was created by your shot. And like I said, you could do this in one shot. I suggest doing multiple shots. Like I said, the more precise your data, the better your experience is going to be. All right, so we've got that done. Now we put on our ABL 1000. This also comes in an ABL 1500, and that signifies the amount of yards this is capable of ranging. Obviously, with the air gun, I don't need more than 1,000 yards, so that's what's on mine. It does come with several ways to mount it. I chose to mount mine vertically, although you could do it horizontally if you chose to do so. But it connects to the scope via Bluetooth. There's no physical connection. And you have to calibrate it. There's a laser in here that you aim, a visible laser. And the way you'll see mine act here is honestly the way I left it, just because I like it mounted the way it is. But essentially, you'll click a button and it will range the target and adjust your reticle so that you don't have to use any holdover. It just automatically adjusts for whatever you're going to shoot at. Now, with mine being up here, you'll notice in the video you're about to see that there's a bit of offset between my point of aim and the laser. So once I click the laser and it's ranging, its reticle is a little offset, so I have to move it just a little bit to get it to range, and then I go back. Now, that doesn't affect the accuracy. It only affects where I'm pointing it when I'm ranging. So now I'm going to show you some video about what this actually does. I took this to our known distance course, and the target markers aren't exactly the amount of yardage. We call them 50, 40, and so forth. It's plus or minus a couple yards. The seat I was sitting in isn't the usual seat, so it's off a little bit, but you'll get the idea here. And the thing I want to make perfectly clear is that the wind on this day was horrendous. Horrendous. Watch this.
You can tell it's windy when the beard is sideways.
See what I mean? The beard goes sideways. That's a lot of wind. I had problems with my sticky targets staying on the target backers. It was throwing the shots off. The only thing I want you to pay attention to here is elevation. Don't worry about the windage, just the elevation. Now, watch this clip and you'll see what I mean. Okay, if you look in the lower right-hand corner of this video, you'll see the number 31, and that's the amount of yards that this target is away. And though the wind's blowing it a bit, you can see that it's going just about perfect so far as elevation is concerned. Now, the sticker blew off of there. I'm just making holes in the cardboard. Hopefully you can see that. Now I'm addressing the 40-yard target. I've just hit the laser to range it. It's given me 42 yards, and you can see that offset that I'm talking about. Now I'm going to aim at a target here. And again, the wind's going to carry it off to the left. But look at that elevation. That's just about absolutely perfect, spot on. If it wasn't for the wind, it would have been perfect. Now again, I apologize for these stickers flying off of the targets. There's not a lot I can do about that. I do play with this one a little bit and hold off for windage. I think in this shot right here, yep, I'm going to pull it up a little bit, and yeah, pretty good wind call. Not perfect, but it's pretty close. That one went through the same hole, but you get the idea. The elevation's about spot on, and I didn't change anything. All I did was hit the button to have the laser range the target. Now I've messed with the focus a little bit. I cut that out, but this is the 55-yard target. You can see I'm ranging it. If you see the crosshairs move right, that means I'm ranging. And you can see they were left there. I'm back to the actual shooting crosshair, not the ranging crosshair. And you can see it ranged at 58 yards. Again, I fire at the middle of the target backer, and you can see the shots are nearly perfect for elevation, despite the little bit of difference you get from the wind. Now we're out here at 100. There you go. I clicked the laser to range. We're ranging. We get 101 yards. Now I'm back to the shooting reticle. I bring that back, and keep in mind there's a ton of wind here, but I start in the middle just to see what happens. Take a shot and miss that target entirely. That's a quadrant target. There's a 1-inch spinner in the middle. I don't know how big those squares are for each quadrant, but you can see I'm starting to hold off now. I'm using the left edge of the reticle to hold, and you can see those dots appearing on the quadrant on the left. That elevation is spot on perfect. That is what you get with this ABL laser. Now you're always going to have to fight the wind, and you can actually input wind data to the scope. I did not do that. I'm just holding off for wind, but the laser has ranged the distance and adjusted the elevation perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And like I said, the better you set this contraption up, the more precisely you set it up, the better your results will be. Now, I'm aiming, I'd say, a good foot and a half off the right edge of that target. And if you're wondering, yes, I eventually do get the right wind call. Oh, that was a close one. It didn't quite get it. I think it might be this next shot. A little closer, a little closer. Come on, Donnie. Come on, Taco Man. You can do it. Come on. One more. One more. You can do it. Come on. Hold off. Hold off right there. Yeah, right there. Hold it. Hold it. There you go. There you go. That was purely a lucky wind call, but the elevation was perfect, and that's the point I'm trying to make. So, yeah, assuming you have this set up right and you're using the ABL laser range finding system, distance no longer matters. You simply range the target, the scope will adjust, and take your shot. That is huge for an air gunner. But keep in mind, that's not even the really impressive part. The really impressive part is that it will do this day or night. It does not matter. With the upgraded Illuminator I'm using, you could see a rat's eye glow at 100 yards easily. Now, this also gives you a neat advantage. Watch this video I took of shooting at that same quadrant target at 100 yards at night. Did you see that? Did you see that pellet as clear as day from the time it left the gun till the time it hit the target? That's huge. That could give you a lot of data about the pellets you're using, stabilization, and so forth. That's a pretty neat feature, not really a feature, but a pretty neat capability of this system. Now, like I said, you can input environmental data into the scope. Wind, you can manually put in distance if you don't have the rangefinder. And all of these things, the ability to range find, the fact that it works day or night, the fact that you can input wind data and things, that is why this is a force multiplier. This extends when you can shoot, and it extends where you can shoot. If you don't have a good rangefinder and you don't have a good dope for 137 yards, you're probably going to miss. With this, you range it, the scope adjusts, you fire, nothing to it. And again, this is day or night. That's why this is a force multiplier. All of these things make you a more lethal hunter. The same technology that's being used on fighter jets and tanks, these same technologies are now given to you to use as a hunter. Force multiplier, I think the term applies. Now, something to be considered here is the very first computer, well, vacuum tube computer. It was called ENIAC, and it was used to calculate ballistic tables for United States artillery pieces in World War II. And it did this one at a time. One gun, one specific ammunition type, and so forth. And it would make one table at a time. This computer was the size of a room, literally. Here's a picture of it, well, part of it anyway. And this took a very long time. This ATN scope here is essentially infinite ballistics tables held in this tiny contraption. You just put the data in and it will calculate every which way that the thing needs to move to make you hit here. That's an astounding thing. Think about that. Think about that. Now, this is why you buy an ATN scope. It's a legitimate force multiplier. It makes you more lethal as a hunter. It gives you capabilities other scopes simply do not have. But that's where I draw the line. That is where I draw the line. While the ATN 4K Pro is an absolutely incredible hunting scope, it is not a competition scope. I would not use this for competitions. For one, it's probably not legal in a lot of competitions. And for another, the video that you get from the scope at low magnification and close distance is really pretty impressive. It'll record HD 120 frame per second video, On night vision, it's 60 frames per second. These images will easily allow you to discern your prey from background images. You will be able to take accurate hunting shots, but at higher magnification and at longer distances, it does get a little grainy. Now, I do not consider that a deficiency in any way. What this thing does is incredible. I don't hold it against the scope that it's a little grainy in these high mag, high long distance, situations. Have a look at this quick clip. This was a pigeon I shot in a barn at about dusk, and this is not using the night vision. This is still on day vision mode. Now that's pretty clear. Here's another video clip provided by ATN of, I believe it's 167 yards of these deer walking around. You can see them, you can shoot them. However, if you were shooting at the tiny little bullseye on a 100-yard bench rest target, it might be a little lacking. Now, one common complaint about older generations of ATN scopes is the battery life. And that's a legitimate complaint. I've used older generations of these scopes, and with brand new AA batteries in it, I forget what settings I had that scope on, the batteries died in a half hour. Literally, a half an hour. You could buy the battery pack, which would extend the time you could use the scope, but that is not a problem with the 4K Pro. This has a captive internal rechargeable battery that lasts, according to ATN, 18 hours. Is that true? No. Mine lasts longer than 18 hours. I'd say closer to 20. Your experience might be different, but in my opinion, they understated how long this battery will last. You charge it with a simple USB cable, don't have to buy anything. It is fantastic on battery life. So what are the downsides here? It's not a competition scope. Like I said, you do need some computer literacy to be able to use this. Other than that, I have no complaints. This scope, I hate to keep using this term, is a force multiplier. It really is. It will extend when you can shoot. It will extend where you can shoot. Not to mention, you can record everything. You can learn from your mistakes. You can record pellet flight and learn how this one flies and that one flies and so forth. This thing gives you some 21st century capabilities that a lot of people could make good use of. I am one of those people. Like I said, this is mine. This is staying on this rig. This is exactly how I want it. And as I said earlier, this 4K Pro comes in a 3 to 14 power and the one I have, the 5 to 20 power. There are also the ATN LTV scopes, which are a little cheaper, not quite as many features, but still you get night vision, and that's a force multiplier in and of itself. These scopes aren't the answer to everything, but they are an outstanding hunting scope that I sincerely recommend. I have one on my own gun, and I can't give anything higher praise than that. I thank you all for watching, and you guys stay tuned, stay safe, and happy shooting in the dark.
Hi, I'm Dennis Baker with Baker Airguns. Thanks for stopping by. Click the link below.